Henry Lee Higginson was the real promoter of the Boston Symphony, but he was also a real promoter of athletics. And in 1890, Higginson bought land in Allston to give to his alma mater, Harvard, in honor of or in memory of 5 of his friends who, like Higginson, had served in the Civil War, but unlike Higginson, had not come back. The 5 friends, James Savage, Charles Russell Lowell, Edward Dalton, Stephen Perkins, James Lowell, and Robert Gould Shaw, are immortalized with the name of Soldiers' Field, the land that Higginson gave to Harvard on which they could build a stadium. And in his dedication of the stadium in 1890, Higginson remembered his 5 friends and then used their lives as a lesson for the young men of Harvard who would be playing in the stadium that would be built on this land. Do not too readily think that you have done enough simply because you have accomplished something. There is no enough, so long as you can better the lives of your fellow beings. Your success in life depends not on talents, but on will. Surely, genius is the power of working hard and long and well. We see in this message from Higginson to the next generation a lesson that really imbues all of the lessons Bostonians have been teaching. And football, which would be the game played most vigorously at Soldiers' Field, in many ways for this generation exemplifies these virtues. The Harvard Stadium opened in 1903 on this land, and it's the first use of reinforced concrete on a large scale, and it's now actually the oldest permanent concrete athletic structure in the country. A marvelous building, still in use, and it's also responsible not only for saving football in 1906, but making football the game that it is today. Football was quite a violent game, as men are running down the field with a ball into a line of men who are trying to stop them. And football was a college sport, and it was a sport that led to deaths on the field. President Charles Eliot of Harvard wanted simply to drop the game. As he said, it's little better than bullfighting or cockfighting, 2 other violent sports which were quite popular. So you have a move here with football, a very popular college sport played by young men who are trying to prove themselves and being encouraged by men like Higginson, who saw the manly virtues exemplified in football as being essential to the survival of the country, that were able to display this, and then men like Eliot and others who think it is too violent and should be changed. Now, someone who takes a great interest in this is a Harvard alum, Theodore Roosevelt, who at the time of this debate is President of the United States. And Roosevelt summons a conference of athletic directors to discuss how to change football. And the most likely proposal is to widen the field. The football field was quite narrow, and if your goal is simply to run down this field, there aren't that many places in which you can evade those who are trying to stop you. So the proposal is, let's widen the football fields. President Charles Eliot is reluctant to adopt that because he has just built this massive concrete stadium, and it would be impossible for Harvard Stadium to survive if they're going to widen the field, add 20 or 30 yards on either side. So Harvard, being at this time a football powerhouse, doesn't want to abandon its new field in the interest of widening it in order to promote player safety. So the athletic directors and others think about ways they can change the rule of football, and what they do is decide to allow the ball to be thrown forward. The rule had been you could only throw it sideways or backwards, as in rugby, another game quite similar to football. So because of Harvard Stadium, we have the forward pass. And we can think about the benefaction of Henry Lee Higginson and his men who died, his friends who died in the Civil War, And we can think about Harvard building this concrete stadium in which the young men of Harvard could play this very violent game and improve their manly virtues, and think about the confluence of these things which now make it possible for Tom Brady and others to excel at the game.